Hi, my name is Rocky Dawuni, and this is my session here today. Well, for me, what being human means is to be alive, to experience the beauty of creation, the victories, the strengths, the struggle, the pain, and I think that all of those things are part of amplifying your ability to connect not only with yourself, but also connect with things too that are without of yourself. I think that the more knowledge you get about things that are without, the more knowledge you find about yourself. And I think that that also ties into the art of presence. The art of presence is to have a space within the context of all things living, and recognizing that space and honoring that space and holding that space. I would say some of the most exciting moments was when I left the confines of my parents, and started, I'd gone through, like, let's say, the nursery school, but the primary school, the beginning of the primary school era, for me was one of the most exciting, because that was the time when I had the capacity to also start engaging the rest of the world. I figured out that I love music. I started also, I was a student at Services Primary, and the school was actually, we had the most amazing head teacher there who was hands-on with every kid there. So it was like she was such an inspirational figure to all of us. I was exposed to a lot of traditional music because my school had a music program, which was an indigenous music program. So we learned a lot of the drum patterns, the dances from various parts of Ghana, the songs and all of that. So it also gave me a kind of a cultural plurality, to also be able to understand, Ghana in a deeper sense through the cultural exposure that I had. And it was a time too that I started also learning about religion. I was born in a military barracks. So the military barracks had a lot of the soldiers, different tribes from different parts of Ghana, but also different religions. So you could meet a soldier who was Muslim, a soldier who was Christian, a soldier who was traditional, a soldier who was Buddhist, Hindu. We had all of that within the confines of the barracks. My father was Muslim, my mom was Christian. So I also had the opportunity of also experiencing all of these kind of diversity in terms of religion. So that was, my childhood. It was rich in social stimulants, as I would say. And then finally, it was also during the time that the military in Ghana were in power. So it was not like the democratic system that we have right now. This was the era of Jerry John Rawlings. So it was a very revolutionary time within the military. And I feel that that also instilled in me the consciousness of advocating for everybody, the consciousness of advocating for the common man, the consciousness of also advocating for sovereignty. I'm a child of nature, a child of the environment. I love to spend time in nature. I love farming, things that will have to do with, dealing with the land. I love growing stuff. I love nurturing the soil. I love planting trees. I love to see the rivers clean. I love to walk into nature and hear the sentient aspect of nature, the cry of the birds, the songs of the birds, respect for the water. The water, they're spirits. That's how we grew up here. Our traditions show that water is spirit. Respect for the water. Without music, that's who I am. I'm just somebody who appreciates nature. If I didn't have all the trappings, I think I'll be like a nomad. Yeah. I think without the music, I don't see myself any different from the Fulani herdsman who's walking through different places, learning different things just by following his cattle and traveling around and seeing different people, but it's not committed to anybody. After they get what they need from one place, they move ahead. I kind of see myself as that. Well, for me, a house is a construct of wood and stone. A home is a construct of the heart. A home is the community, the love, the people, the social structure that even if the house is not there, a home is, you can move the concept of a home from one house to another. It is strong. Home is bonding. Home is where love is exchanged. Home is the place where when anything happens, you can run there and it will still give you you'll be welcome. You will not be judged. You meet people who will embrace you as one of their own with no judgment. That's home. There's love for self. There's love for others. And then there's also love of God, which is love of nature. I feel that love is, first of all, appreciating who you are. That's love for self. Being honored and grateful for life. Well, the thing is that I think that everybody has music. I think that every human being, once you wake up, you have life and you can move. Music is movement. And a musician is only one that predisposes themselves to understand the movement of nature. Beat is just keeping time. And when you start keeping time, it has to resonate with other people. So I feel that element exists in everybody. So becoming a musician was more like understanding this deeply and feeling that this is actually a calling to go out there, make music that will resonate with people, to make them feel that aspect of themselves. And then at the time too, I was, I could hear music. I would say that I hear music everywhere I go. I hear music when I'm passing by and people are talking and I can't even hear what they're saying about. I can hear music of your voice. Your voices make music. When there's thunder, when there's rain, when people are angry, people are happy and all of that, you could hear music in it. And that's what I feel that made we Africans so musical, because we are constantly, expression of our environment is kind of part of our nature. And you can see that in everything. When a baby is born, there's like, it's translated into sound and jubilation and singing. And for me, that realization, I feel, was the spark that made me realize that, music was really the path that I had to take, I'll say, I had to deal with, when my mom passed, and that was not easy. I didn't think anybody who has like a parent or somebody that's close to them and somebody that's a foundational part of who they are, because you learn about the world most of the time through your parents. I'm saying we, those who are lucky to have parents. Not everybody's wrong. There's people who don't have opportunity, foster kids and all of that. And, so to have that gift, and then at some point when you can physically cannot be able to engage them, can be something that can throw your whole world into turmoil. And you have to start again trying to find what it means, what your identity means, when you don't have these people that represented, or this situation that represented what the world is, So I think it's something that we all go through, but in the long run, I feel that it also matures you emotionally. And, you lose friends along the way, you lose people, homes, things, and it just makes you stronger. It just makes you stronger if it doesn't break you. I think the last time I shed a tear was a few days ago, actually. Was yesterday. I've never heard myself cry in a long time. I had a call from the son of Ebotela, and I had just seen a show, the family, and I had seen Ebo play in Los Angeles. I was there for the concert, and then I went to go see him too in Saltpond, and then I get a call from him, and he was crying. He couldn't help it to inform me about the passing of his father, and I could not help it. I was just trying to talk back, and I found myself crying too, because I loved Ebotela so much. Ebo represented like a father. He's a father. If you believe in music, you believe that there's families that are not based upon your father and mother. There's families that are based upon like the connection of people who have been important in your life, and you've always gone to go seek their counsel and be inspired by them. And I actually just cried. And nothing breaks my resolve most of the time, but I think that pierced through my armor. Life is meant for us to enjoy, to create connections, to give love, to exchange love, to be happy, to build things, not to destroy things, not to aspire to be the greediest man in the world with every riches gathered to only use so that people could tell you are the greatest. It's not about ego. I believe that if we're able to distill all of these wants and all of these pressures of achievement, which are important, but in the long run, they don't define the purpose for which we are here for. I feel that when we come to appreciate that, then we know that our needs are not many for us to find happiness. What I say to everybody is that, just be proud of who you are, where you're from. Just wake up every day with a sense of gratitude. And you can't change everybody in the world, and not everybody won't change to your world, but you can change what you do, your actions. So seek happiness, seek the things that will bring you fulfillment, and also love the people who are around you, who give you love. Give them love. In the long run, that's what it's all about. And I feel that if we build that kind of state of appreciation and gratitude, everything else is an add-on. Be grateful and thankful to God for every day. And I feel that if you start with that kind of gratitude, then you bring the smile, and that smile will light up somebody's smile,